All right, welcome to Stampscapes Live. We're going to do something here that should be a fairly quick card type of process. We have a piece of one of Deanna's background papers here. It's really cool looking. Looks like kind of like a horizon or something like that, with kind of the sky up above, but with kind of warmer tones below, as if there was I don't know, kind of like a twilight situation or something like that. Or maybe it could be a sunrise, maybe that'd be more like it here. But I also see it as potentially being water up top and kind of shoreline down below. I thought that would work out really well. And then I thought, if I'm going to use it like that, and these are kind of like waves or something like that, then maybe I would put it into a horizon card format, and I would couple it with a photo print. Okay, now this is just a background of clouds that I've had printed out onto, it's not photo paper, I don't know, it's a Shutterfly prints it out or something like that, but basically they're just prints. So what I did was I found a print of mine that kind of had a similar blue tone that could merge with the blue tones in here. So that was what I was kind of looking at, with the idea of stamping something down here on the horizon. It looks kind of just cool like that without anything on the horizon too, but an object on the horizon kind of differentiates sky from surface a little bit better and gives us something, you know, another visual anchor point in the scene. So one of the things I'd like to do on my, I'm going to use the baby sea turtles in this too. I thought that would be a perfect little area for them down here. But I like using this Palm Island in the background like that, so it'd look like that. Okay, now if you're printing out cloud photos on your home inkjet printer, you're printing it out on photo paper, okay? And if you're doing that, you don't need to use something like a StazOn ink. Hello, Bonnie! Excuse me. But on this paper here from Shutterfly, this is the only type of printing place that I've seen them use some sort of regular paper, and I don't know, they apply some sort of gloss over the top of it so it's completely sealed off. So I need to use StazOn on this one. But if you're doing printing out prints on photo paper, glossy photo paper, whatever, matte, satin, at home on your inkjet printer, you can just use your standard dye-based ink to make impressions on here. Any kind of water-based ink works great. But for mine, I'm going to the StazOn, okay? All right, so let's see. All right, I'm going to stamp this. I'll go a little bit below the horizon, I think. Or the bottom of the card, which will end up being the horizon. I'm going to do this one on the left side. I'm not sure. I might put a little piece on the right side too. I'm not sure. But the larger baby sea turtles are they're heading from left to right. So I might leave this kind of open ocean type of area in here. What you can also do is, what I do most of the times is I kind of have it like a little cove, you know, where there's a bit of the island going, I don't know, midway or something, then I just use a little piece of it on the other side. Okay, so, I don't know. Let's see how that print came out. Okay, it looks pretty good. I was just holding it down for a little bit of a prolonged time to get a little bit more of that ink transferred. Okay. Hello, Debbie. How are you? All right, let's take a look and see. Now, one of the things too, I mean, see, this is kind of a darker base right here, and I mean, I could put the island over here too, and that's, you know, going to be fine. But this cloud went down to the base of this print, down in here, so I thought that the silhouette of this image will show up better on this side of the print. You know, if you have a kind of a darker background, if this is all blue sky, you might not want to do that right over that, you know, in which case I would have flipped this over and just used it that way, you know, because there's more like a lighter background for our objects, okay? I mean, I can tell this is up and down, but with clouds, I mean, you know, even if you used it this way or something like that, you know, not in this, you know, horizon, you know, landscape formatted horizon card, but you can use them whatever way you want. Okay, so see how that looks? I mean, it already, you know, we're done. It almost looks like a, you know, pretty complete type of format right now, just with, you know, the usage of the sky and this, you know, one of Deanna's background papers down here. So, I don't know, it makes for a really fun type of format. You do kind of employ some, you know, a little bit more design skills, I guess. Or I don't know, whatever, not skills, but you know, just in terms of a thought process when you're using pre-existing papers that already have textures and contrast and lighting, you know, already in there. So it's just kind of fun to look at them and think, okay, let me see, think of, you know, what could I do with this paper, you know, or this background on both sides, you know, both the sky and the base here. All right, so let's see. All right, that's pretty much it for the stays on. I might add some birds later, but I'm going to put this over on the side so I don't get these two inks mixed up while I'm doing this. The stays on you can use down here though too, okay? But I don't want to use this one up here because it would never dry. This is a hybrid ink, but a VersaFine Clear would be fantastic on there. Try out your dye-based inks. I'm not sure if the dye-based inks would work so good on this paper because these are all printed papers, you know, and you'd be stamping over printer's ink. Even though this is a matte finish on here, it's still coated with printer's ink, you know, to create these types of backgrounds on here. So find an ink that's going to give you a really good dark impression. All right. I'm going to stamp out my subject matter first in here. So like, I'm going to add in some additional textures in here. But I want to do it around our, whatever, the stars of the scene, the baby turtles. Now, I mean, you might have a dye-based ink that works really good on here too. If it's really a real thick style of dye-based ink, though, I would stamp and hold in terms of your process. You know, just allow that ink to transfer and penetrate, because dye-based inks work by staining. Okay. This one's a hybrid ink, so there's dyes and pigment in there. So I like that the dye kind of penetrates, but you get a lot of surface, residual surface ink with the pigment ink. Pigment inks usually stay on the surfaces. Okay. Let's see. I want to add in some additional textures in here, but I don't want the baby sea turtles to get too mixed up in the textures, so I'm going to go fairly light with this. Hello in Orlando. It's 80 degrees. We have it better. We're better off, Catherine, than a lot of areas of the country. They're like sweltering heat, even like in Canada. I was someone. I'm sure she translated into Fahrenheit, but she said it was 111 in where was it? Was it Alberta? I forgot where she lives. Alberta. And someone was saying in Michigan. You're like really hot. Okay, now I'm going for multiple impressions here. just to get some lighter shades, because I don't want it too rocky and textured. Yeah, because those baby sea turtles, it's usually in sand, right? They have to be, to lay those eggs. But I do want some extra texturing on here. I thought those look kind of nice without too much texture, but I want to give a little bit more body to this. I mean, I could do just, stamp, a couple reeds in here and just really be done with it. But that's like a 5-minute card, so I want to kind of play around with this a little bit more and experiment. Yeah, the pre-printed card. I'm sure this card was intended for, a transitioning sky from top to bottom, but that's what I saw at, looking at it, but I thought, it could be used as a, sand and water. I mean, this looks really kind of, not impressionistic. I don't know, maybe impressionistic, but certainly very gestural, which is how paints and pastels can look. Pastels, in a way, I think pastels, we tend to think of pastels as drawing tools, right? Because you're usually hard and they're like a stick, but they're raw pigments, just in a different delivery mechanism than something like oil paints or acrylics. So one definition of pastels, I forget what it was called. It was like dry painting, or I don't know, it was something like that. So pastels can be seen as painting. It's what I learned in school. I don't know. It seemed really bizarre to me, but that's what they said. All right, so we have a little bit of textures in here. Okay, so I've given, again, I tried not to do too many dark impressions. So with that smaller rock, I have a little bit of larger ones and I have some smaller ones in here. So we went with these two. Just because I wanted to give a little bit more body, because those sea turtles right here are larger than those ones right there. So I wanted to reiterate that in the texturing in here to give it a little bit more distance. Okay, let's see. You're drinking chilled lemonade with diced raspberries. That sounds pretty good. Pass some of that around, Catherine, to all of us here. Hello, Sharita. How are you? Hello, Jen. All right. So let's go in and, oh boy. I really like adding my colored pencils after stamping all our imagery out, but I do want to give those reeds. And I like adding my foreground, though, my last foreground things after everything, but I'd have to do it in the StazOn ink. I think I'm just going to do it right now, though. And I'll just color over the top of it with some colored pencils. But like I said, I'm not going to be doing too much here. Okay, so if you just joined in, I guess I can get my bearings here and let's see what this looks like. So all I did was I stamped on here with some StazOn ink. And again, if you're just printing it out in your home inkjet printer on photo paper, the cloud backgrounds, you don't have to use StazOn. But that's what I stamped this one out on because I have to. We're coupling that, we're pairing it with the background papers by Deanna right here. This is really sky, but I saw it as like this real kind of, like I said, impressionistic style, stylized ocean right here as well. I really saw it as sky first, and stamping your objects down here, but I thought this would really look pretty cool potentially in a horizon card format. I paired this photo background specifically, and there were several of them that had, some deeper blues like that, because I knew it would kind of have a closer match to the blues that were down here. Okay, as opposed to going like gray sky, which you could do, but this one just kind of, it's a little bit more seamless, being that it has the same type of tones in here. Okay. All right, so, but I wanted to, so most of the stuff that's going to be happening down here is this little area down here. I've been like super busy, so I haven't had like time to do a lot of stamping. So this is like the perfect type of stamping I like to do. Even though I stamped, I don't know when it was, I guess it's almost been a week, but I'm doing usually stamping more often, right? But I've been working on a couple orders and I'm getting a new old computer set up. I have some old software that only runs on old operating systems, and some of the newer computers, they don't run old operating systems. I had to buy this like refurbished thing, but I need to downgrade the operating system because the operating system is too new and it won't run this really ancient software on there. Okay, so let's add a little bit of shading down here too. All right, since this is going to be the base now and it's kind of foreground as opposed to sky, you know, whatever, 20 miles away, I'll add a little bit of a vignette down here just to kind of frame off this lower portion. I'll add in a little bit of color to it too, I think, with some colored pencils, but we'll just kind of expedite the entire process here. And I'm just using the same ink that I stamped out my little figures in and texture. And again, this is the hybrid ink. You can do this with like a VersaFine clay or something like that too. It'll work just fine. But see this right here? You just kind of give it a little bit of that edge, kind of halo like that. That really brings the viewer's attention in like that. So see how this is darker on the outside edge and lighter in the middle? It's a little bit darker there. See, this is like a little bit more of an aqua greenish tinge, but it gets lighter in the middle like that. So that's what we're doing down here because this was open down here. Deanna probably specifically left it open so that, you know, you can do variation down there. You can stamp imagery in there. And, you know, if you want to tone it in, you can. So that's what we're doing right here. And just go as dark as you want, you know. I'm going with black, but you could use color, you know, if you have other colors too. All right, something like that. And let's add in some of that foreground. Let's see something here. I'm gonna try this right here. I've been adding reeds all the time, but let's go with like a leafed branch here. What is this? I forgot what this is called, leaf cluster or something like that. Okay, let's see. This one I'll go a little bit high, but I'll leave some space down here in case I do want to add in some of those reeds for a little bit of extra kind of foreground texture. Florida can have tallest dramatic clouds. Oh, yeah. My favorite photographer is this, oh my God, I can't even remember his name now. I have a bunch of his books somewhere with an eye's view. Okay, I'm stamping and holding so I get a little bit of a better impression here, but yeah, he's out of Florida. He's seen as like the his nicknames, like the Ansel Adams of the Everglades or something like that. But yeah, just towering, dramatic photos, you know, of clouds. He works all on black and white and large format, even though digital's been around for a long time. But he still works in those old, you know, full frame or large format negatives, you know, where you put that, you know, cloth over the top of your head. All right, so adding in some of these leaves in here, I'll color those in too. But I'm kind of closing this off a little bit more than I usually do, because these are like little baby sea turtles, and it's their, you know, their little moment. So you can kind of close things off a little bit more if you want to give your subject matter like privacy and cover. So they don't get eaten up by whatever, predators, right? It's one of those things where you watch those nature shows, and you know, nature's just being nature and everything like that, but you really just, you know, when you see all those baby sea turtles getting eaten up, you know, trying to make a run for the thing, it's like, you know, you just don't want those other animals to get a meal. On them, at least. Okay, let's add in a little bit more grass to give these guys a little bit more cover. That, see, I'm actually stamping over some of them like that. Like that. All right. Let's take a look. Anytime you add in kind of significant, you know, additions to these reflection or horizon cards, I always kind of take a look at it and see how it looks in context, you know, with the other componentry in there. It'll tell you, you know, kind of if you need to add more of something, or I don't know, maybe you added too much, and you can kind of subdue it a little bit with a, you know, white pigment ink or something like that. It'll push it back a little bit more in the distance, but I think that's looking pretty good right now. But here's what I'm looking at right now. So I was wondering about this transition area in here, and I was thinking, I wonder if I, you know, since I'm using this kind of real, kind of impressionistic idea of water in this case, all right, Deanna's thinking, hey, you know, that was clouds, you know, that was a sky that I intended for that. But again, I think it looks great for water, but kind of a little bit more of an impressionistic look of one. I was wondering if I was going to need to add a little bit of a texture into it to, you know what I mean, just designate it a little bit more as a you know, the shoreline here with the, you know, the waves coming in like that. I think it looks okay, but I think I do want to add a little bit more of a, I don't know, not much though, but like a crisp little kind of water's edge. So you can see I've added, one of the things I've done here with the Tiny Rocks Small is I've added in these little rocks in really light shades right in here to kind of, you know, designate that as, you know, the water's edge, and to separate it in terms, you know, a little bit more texturally. But let's do it a little bit more in terms of lighting, maybe. I say maybe because we'll see what it looks like, and if I don't like it, then I'll stop adding it in here. Okay, one of the things I mentioned was when I was toning in with this little cotton ball like that and adding a little bit of tone right around in here, that just added gray, you know. And I was saying I might add a little bit of color to it, so I think I'm going to add a little bit of color to it, just so that it matches the color scheme in here a little bit more. So, you know, here's a little bit of it like a navy blue. I'm thinking about that lemonade, Catherine. We'll watch your making of that lemonade on your live stream. All right, so just adding a little tinge of this right around in here. I'm doing a really light application of this color. And I'm not reaching all the way over here. Okay, I'm going like this, and it'll kind of transition like this. Okay, like that right in here. And then coming from the other side, it's ending right in here because it's darker on the outside edge and lighter in the middle like that. Okay, so we'll go like this. So I'm kind of adding a little bit of a shadow underneath this closest, I don't know, it's not really a wave, but kind of that foam, in the sea. That's kind of rolling up on shore like that. Okay. Now that was that blue violet. Okay. It's kind of similar at least in value to that right there. You don't have to get like perfect or anything like that. Let's try some of this right here. This one's like, I don't know, some of the colors in here. Maybe this one's like this one right here. But here's another one too. So kind of the more blues you use, or the more variation you use, the richer potentially the end result. And again, I kind of want to match this in terms of richness a little bit with what Deanna's already established in the background with her pastel work. All right, so it's a little bit more of a, maybe a little bit more of a foreground glow too, I don't know. All right, now these trees, or the leaves, are kind of already over this background paper, so the background colors are showing through, but let me see if I can get a little bit of color onto them. I can also use the acrylic paint pens to do this, but I think that would stand out a little bit too much, and I can really have a little bit more control probably with the colored pencils. I don't think I want to use that bright yellow green yet, but let's go with these two greens right here. I think I need oh, I used to have this fan, little clip-on fan underneath my table here. And I moved it probably last year or something. But I might need that again. Or that iced tea. It's getting hot here under these lights. One time I changed my live feed format. You can, for that camera that's on me, I can change that to just like a black and white feed or something like that, which I did one time last year. Cause I thought, all right, watching me like sweat like a pig in black and white isn't going to be as offensive as a grayscale. All right. So that looks pretty good. Just little hints of, dabs of color on those leaves like that. That's why I made that stamp right there, because I'm usually stamping my foregrounds all in color, but black and white. And, there's solid imagery, so I thought it'd be nice to have some kind of color options in here. So I would do these leaves like this if it was a fall tone scene, it's around a lake or something like that. I would do these in fall colors right here, and as opposed to green. Okay, there's some more of it down here. right, have that like that. It's kind of minimal color. Let's take a look. All right, and let's see. All right, let's add in. Okay, so this is really kind of this really super soft, you know, it's a really soft background texture, okay? But this is all crisp up top here in this photograph. Now, if this was not just on regular photo paper, I would soften up some of these edges with some white pigment ink, but I just remembered, oh, you know, I mean, I might add in a little bit in here anyway, but maybe I'll do that. I'll just spray seal that. But what I want to do is I want to bring in some of these textures down here. Not in terms of a cloudy texture, but the crispness of it, okay? In terms of this photograph. I mean, the edges are still soft, but there's, you know, there's some hard edges in here. So you don't need to match that in terms of the same texture, but if you bring in another texture that's of that same focus, then I think it'll match a little bit better. But like I said, I mean, you don't have to do that. I'm just kind of doing some experimenting here to test it out. So I'm going to do that in the form of some white little dots, you know, so, you know, some spray mist coming off the top of the waves or something like that, or, you know, kind of shimmering little light down here. And I think that should, you know, pretty much take care of, you know, some of that textural matching. And like I said, maybe I'll, you know, bring in some of that white pigment ink up here to make some of these objects up there a little bit softer looking. Okay. Catherine, do you ever take photos of any of those clouds? Yeah, glad you like it, Bonnie. I didn't really have to do too much to this. I mean, it looked good, just kind of stamping out the objects in there and being done with it. So I just doing a little bit more experimenting. But this whole kind of thing with the shading on there, you know, it didn't add a whole lot, but I think it looks pretty cool. Okay, so from a textural standpoint, again, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. See those little dots right in here? If you're watching on like a phone, maybe you can't see it. I don't know. But these little dots in here are giving it that shimmering little light that kind of wet sand might have, right? This white is going to look a lot more see-through, darker when it dries, though, okay? So that has been added right in there. So see, that's these crisp little dots, okay? Like that. I don't know, maybe I've added in too many, I don't know. But right in here, I thought I would add in some little highlights here and there. I do have a white pastel pencil too that I can add in here, and we can maybe make this a little bit more ocean-like, you know, shoreline-like, maybe. I mean, that looks like like that spin drift coming off the top of the wave to me. So in some of these little textures in here that already pre-exist, see these little textures like that are in her darker areas like that, and this is a little bit lighter right there. I'm just going in and adding in like some little highlights on there, okay? So if I don't know where, you know, I should add some in, I just look for pre-existing forms in here. Okay, so this is the top of the cloud, so I'll make it the top of a, I don't know, like a wave. And I'll just, you know, kind of reiterate kind of what's going on in there, but with some additional, like a different type of texture. So see this little dots coming off the top of it, so it looks like it's trailing off a little bit more. Now, if it was a cloud, I wouldn't do that, you know, like that. But since this is, you know, I'm saying that it's kind of a wave in motion, so I'm doing this little trailing type of dot right on that little trailing line that she's already established in there. All right, so it's like that. Let's take a look. It's a little bit too busy with all those dots in there. It stood out quite a bit, but I don't know. Let's see what this looks like. But I'm going to use the white pigment ink in here too, though. So like that right there. So the crispness is in there. But like I said, you know, it's a little bit much. But that's what you have the white pigment ink to add in there as well. So yeah, it's moving now more a little bit. It's more of like a windy day, I think. I think we added the wind into this scene. Definitely around these waves right in here. I don't know, a little bit more white capish looking. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look at and see what we can do with a little bit of white pigment ink like this. Got black kitten paws on your work. 3 kittens wanting to watch and play along with you, Kevin. They are fixing to end up in the yard. I think you ought to have that, like those kids' non-toxic ink pads, Bonnie, and put them all around your table and have those kittens just kind of playing around, or use a laser pointer yeah, with it dipping into those inks, those washable inks, and then you can have like some blank paper, or get some good paper, you know, like a 20 by 30, and have them do like a stamp piece. And you can use that as your background paper there, or you can just frame it. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of this additional. I don't know if this is doing anything. Okay, yeah. You probably can't see a thing. See, I'm just kind of like wiping that right there. Yeah, you can kind of see a little bit. I'm adding that motion a little bit. I'm accentuating that. It's like a diagonal movement like that throughout this area here. So, and again, I'm not inventing it. It already kind of had that look to it already, and you know, that motion was already in there from the paper. So I'm just kind of, now that we have our whatever our subject matter in here, I can kind of reiterate that in this area. Okay, so adding a little bit more lighting right in here. And that just kind of makes that background, although it's very light down here, I'm making it a little bit lighter so that those little turtles in there, yeah, they're kind of a little bit more in the spotlight right here. Let's put them a little bit more in, like a little bit of fog too, maybe. Like that. We're obscuring some of these little turtles so they won't get eaten up. Like that. See, that's kind of like they're a little bit lighter in there, like that. Let's see, I'm looking up here. See, this is like a solid line right across here. I mean, it's very gestural and everything and graceful too, but what I'll do is I'll just, since this is like this ocean type of thing, I'll come in like this. I'm trying to squeeze it like this to get a real narrow type of application. That. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. I mean, in this type of setting like that, with all that type of movement in the ocean like that, it's usually kind of real misty. You know, there's a lot of sea, you know, salt water mist in the air. So, I know it kind of goes along with that spirit, I guess. Okay, let's do a little bit up top here. We don't need to do too much, but I'll add this in where that white meets, you know, something darker like that. Right, and now remember, this is like a glossy coated background, not like glossy cardstock, or not definitely not like glossy photo paper here. So this ink, it'd be like applying it on top of like a piece of plastic or glass or something like that. It doesn't have a lot to grab onto. I mean, it will, but you know, it goes a little bit slowly. So there it comes. So see, I'm adding that right up in that palm tree, like that. So it's a little bit lighter right there. I'd like to go lighter though, but we'll see if it adheres. And I want to spray seal this, you know, and sometimes you lose a lot of that lightness, you know, because it makes it kind of see-through. So I should probably go a little bit heavier on here. I'm just going to lightly spray it with a spray fix too. If you put too much sealant on here, spray sealant, it'll just like all disappear, and you know, it'll look like you didn't apply any of this at all. So just a really light coat and you hit it from distance or a couple bursts like that. Do it outside, don't do it inside. Standard, you know, like spray painting technique. Okay, so let's add in a little bit more of this lighter texture. Since I'm doing it anyway up here, I'll see if I can add this in a couple areas right around in here. In some of the lighter areas maybe. Just because it'll match this white pigmenting potentially a little bit more. And we'll just make some of these areas up in here a little bit softer looking, although clouds just inherently are soft anyway, but in some of the contrasted areas, I'll just kind of add a little bit more of this pigment ink, like right up there. See, that'll match kind of the soft forms down here. Maybe just a touch better. I think like I said, you don't have to do this, but since I'm just kind of experimenting here and playing around with it. I don't think I've paired any of those you know, those backgrounds papers before with a photograph. I think I've done it with things like the wood grain paper. I don't know, wood grain paper, did I? Wood grain or vintage, maybe, I'm not sure. But see that little ink like that? It's kind of making it look a little bit more, you know, not painted, but just a little bit more. There's an element of, I don't know, something other than photographic in here. So in this area down here, of course, is all hand done. So if you add a little bit of hand done types of textural additions up there. Again, I just think it's going to harmonize, just a little bit more. If you want to add it in, then, do so. If you don't, I think it looked great without it too. Okay, see this? I'm adding in a little bit heavier in here. And again, I'm kind of adding it. I like that look, I think. Let me see what it looks like. But again, that'll dry quite a bit darker. And then you spray it and it gets darker. So you have to go a little bit kind of, I don't know. I wouldn't call it extreme, but something like that. Maybe that's a little bit too white right there. Let's take a little bit of it off. All right. I think we got it right there. Yeah, that's about right there. It kind of makes that, that island a little bit different looking just from just a straight black print. But again, I like the black print too. But again, it just makes it a little bit more dimensional that way with a little bit of a, light and dark interplay in there. So this is all dark right over here. This is a little bit lighter in here and a little bit darker up there. I didn't want to put too much of the white pigment ink up here because I have that blue background right there through there, that little strip of it, and it will look kind of blotchy up there. Anyway, and the mist, this like fog or whatever would typically be lower where the crashing waves and things like that are. All right, but anyways, that was pretty fun to do. I only had one of those papers, so I can buy them. This paper right here, I don't think was in the latest release of Deanna's papers. I think that was one of those that she sent to me before. I keep a bunch of papers and all kinds of different papers around right next to me. And I was digging through some of those papers, and it's like, oh, here's another one of Deanna's pieces. So when I saw that one, I thought, I want to use that one. But I didn't think about using it as a shoreline until like, I don't know, whatever, 10 minutes before I came on here. One thing about photo prints and everything like that, of course, for doing it in a horizon card or reflection card type of format, is that these pieces, the background papers are all quarter page, 4.25 by 5.5. And if you get photo prints that you send out, they're all 4 by 6s. So this is now 4 inches. So I had to cut off a 1/4 inch off the height of it right here. And then I cut off the 1/2 inch off of the photograph because this is 4 by 6 and this is 5.5. So yeah, a 1/2 inch was taken off of this piece right here. And just, get your card base, cut your card base and fold it accordingly. All right, so I was thinking about adding in some like seagulls or something like this, but I'm not going to add this in here because we already have, all of our little critters down here. And if I stamp this in here, anytime you stamp like little birds or anything like that, it tends to be something that draws the viewer's eye to it, and I want the attention really to go down here, and, the baby sea turtles. So we'll just leave it like that up there. Although this wouldn't be a bad spot, like on the horizon, like a little ship or something like that. I think that would be fine too, because then these turtles would be like kind of pointing to it. But I think with other birds or wildlife up there, I want to just keep that like that alone. All right, so anyway, let's see. Yeah, it wasn't a quick card, but this could have been, okay? Without all the additional kind of, I would keep the textures in there, I think, with the rocks, but you know, the things with the all the colored pencils down here, you know, not really needed. You know, if you want to do a quicker version of this, but the fastest version of this one is, I don't know, it's like 10 minutes. You just stamp out that on top of the sky, turtles, and a couple little foreground foliage types of things. And I would do a little bit of shading in there, but maybe you can just do that with the black ink, or you could have done it with the black colored pencils. And I thought that looked pretty good, just as is. You know, because you know the photograph and that background paper is doing all the work in here anyway. So you know, just stamping the impressions over the top of it, I thought it looked, you know, pretty good already. But I just wanted to see how far we can take it, and if some of these things that I've added in here, you know, it wasn't because I thought for sure that it's going to improve it. I wanted to see if it would improve it. You know what I mean? In terms of I don't know, whatever little design elements, you know, in terms of like textural continuity or something like that. But I don't know. I think it looks fine either way. But really fun to do though. And like I said, it kind of, you know, makes you think about your different compositions when you're looking at these pieces right here and thinking about different ways to use them. So something like this would be really fun to do. And again, this is sky right up here, but I can stamp like the seaside cove down here. And this could be like this ocean down here. I could put in like water textures in here. And one of the things that was kind of fun was on one of the recent pieces, I don't know where I put it. I just took one of these pieces right here, and I think this one would work right here because this doesn't go down to this midway point. So I folded it right there, and this became like the surface of water down here, and this became the sky. So it was like a, you know, a horizon card, but you just make it out of this, and it becomes like a little tag. So you'd have this as sky, and this is surface like this. Or this could be just like clouds or something like that. Like you're looking above the clouds or something like that. That would be kind of interesting too. But if this was just clouds right here, and you're looking at it from, you know, flying somewhere at 40,000 feet up or something like that, you know, I don't know what we would add in here. There wouldn't be, you know, anything to stamp in there. But I think this would be look pretty cool as a body of water, and we can put in some trees or something like that, or island or something. And you can put like a little boat in here or something like that, and just turn this into water. So, you know, clouds and things like that, you know, it's another opportunity for water. Not all cloud formations or something like that, but these real kind of, you know, impressionistic looking ones, dreamy looking ones like that. Again, you can change it into landforms or, you know, water or something like that. So yeah. All right. Fun stuff. If you ever get these papers, a lot of people are getting these papers. You know, there's a lot of different ways to use them. And I think, for me, I think my favorite ways so far have been the reflection cards and the horizon cards. Yeah, here's another one of those cards right here. So just minimal stamping up top here on, you know, one of Deanna's papers like that. But I really love coupling it with kind of this lower section, be it a reflection card or a horizon card like that one. All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed the card. Stay hydrated out there. And hope to see you in the Stampscapes Friday Night Live tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for that one, but... oh! I might do something on this new paper that I got. I was going to show it in this live stream right here, but look at this. It's like a mirrored, deep, like aquamarine blue or something like that. This is a cardstock though. So, you know, it's a Brilliance black and white to use on here. That would have to be spray sealed, but I might try to do something on this. I'm not sure if stamping right directly on top of it, because I don't even know if the inks are going to stick or not, but I thought at bare minimum with this type of mirrored blue like this, you know, in the worst case scenario, I would just use it to matte or mount other scenes on blue tone scenes. But if I could stamp on here, I think that'll be really cool because I love this type of color right here and I love this mirrored look. So I don't know, we might try something out. I might do a little bit of a ink test on it later on, but I don't know, we'll see. Oh, that just knocked my camera out of focus there. All right, folks. Yeah, blue. It's a deeper blue than what it looks like though too, Sharita. It was I'm showing this, but this is all reflecting back up in my camera. But it's kind of like it's like a violet blue. It looks more like I don't know, like an ultramarine here. Oh, I guess that's what I said, but it's more of like a violet bluish tone. But that's one of my favorite colors, and it came in. There's one that came in the. This isn't it right here, but there's this blue that came in the Recollections jewel tone multicolored pack that was similar to this. Now this one's like a much higher quality. It's thicker and it's more mirrored and glossy. But this color right here is really fun to use. And you just use it with white ink, but I don't know, we'll see how that works. It should, I don't know. But I just picked that up. But I thought, oh, okay, I want to test that out at some point in time. But I want to go to this beach here. I don't want to disturb the sea turtles, but you know, it's pulling me into the scene. All right. Thanks for joining in, and again, hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of evening.